John Olomu, Sean Johnson, Samasoni Tokiabo, Valerie Adams, Stephen Adams, Joseph Parker, Portia Winner. All of these names have something in common. No, they're not the answers to the sports section of a pub quiz, nor are they a list of people who I've claimed as my aunties and uncles. These are New Zealand sports icons. And what connects them even further is that they are all of Pacifica or Māori descent. These people are inspirations within their community, symbols of achievement to the next generation that they too can achieve, no matter their cultural identity. However, the not always recognised symbols of inspiration within these communities are the more scholarly inclined counterparts. Although a name like Abiranga Ngata may be recognised by a few, names such as Bruce Biggs, Joanne Baxter, and Rangi Matamua are entirely unrecognisable to a majority of the New Zealand public. These Māori and Pacifica scholars are revolutionaries, each championing their cultures, becoming pioneers in their field, each having a hand in sculpting the New Zealand we've come to know today. Yet these names gain nowhere near the notoriety of our sports athletes. In no way do I say this to detract from the importance of our sports athletes or to devalue their achievements. Many of those names served as my own inspiration growing up, and they're undoubtedly positive role models to the youth of New Zealand. Yet it cannot be denied that the pedestal which Māori and Pacifica athletes are placed upon in some way reflects the lack of young Māori and Pacifica wanting to enter the academic fields. It's as if we place Māori and Pacifica into a box about what we can expect them to become. Kia ora, māluerelei. A greeting to you all. My name is Jared Hetonga Lasike. I hail from the beautiful Bay of Plenty region in a small city called Rotorua. Today, I want to guide you all on a journey through my own experiences up until this point, specifically pertaining to the youth of our Māori and Pacifica communities. Currently, I attend Rotorua Boys High School, where I'm lucky enough to hold a position as head boy, and at a school where 75% of students are Māori, the highest population of Māori students anywhere in the country, as well as having an exponentially increasing Pacifica role, I feel as if I've gained unique qualification in the topic that I aim to discuss today, being the current state of young Māori and Pacifica in academia. Growing up, it was impossible not to be exposed to a world of our Indigenous cultures. Being of Tongan descent, the Pacifica culture was just a part of my childhood, and with the population demographics of Rotorua being predominantly Māori, this was just another culture which became inseparable from my life. As I continued to grow older, my cultural environment only strengthened. With each new level of schooling, I achieved a new level of cultural understanding and appreciation. Now, where I currently attend school, I'm lucky enough to see the integration of culture into every fibre of my learning. When culture is incorporated into learning, a very unique environment encouraging positivity and holistic development is created. In my experience, the result for students is often positivity, development of genuine passion, and success in all areas of interest. Nationally, however, I feel as if there's some sort of societal bottleneck placed upon Māori and Pacifica beyond secondary education. In my experience, it's only within the past few years I've seen boys from my school becoming interested in pursuing tertiary education. I believe this to be in large part due to my school's priority for incorporating culture into our learning. Nationally, however, the number of Māori and Pacifica students entering and remaining in tertiary education seems to fluctuate. Analysing the ethnicity demographics of the top three globally, the top three New Zealand ranked universities globally, Auckland University's role is 7% Māori, 8% Pacific. Otago University's is 12.4% Māori and 6.5% Pacific, and Massey University's is 12.5% Māori and 6.5% Pacific. Across all tertiary education centres nationally, only 12.5% are Māori and 9% are Pacific. Both Māori and Pacifica are tremendously underrepresented in our tertiary education centres, especially when compared to other ethnicities within New Zealand. I believe this can be attributed to two main reasons. Firstly, current New Zealand education systems are simply incompatible with the majority of Māori and Pacifica students, which in turn stigmatises Māori and Pacifica entrance into university. Firstly, I believe it to be true that the current New Zealand education system is simply non-optimal for a majority of the New Zealand Pacifica and Māori students. It has long been accepted that types of learners can be categorised into visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic, each encompassing the ways in which people best take in information. Walk into a typical New Zealand classroom, and I believe you'll see a lesson incorporate a majority of these. What you won't see is the incorporation of any kind of cultural learning or understanding. I believe that Māori and Pasifika learning is much more personal, operating outside that which can be categorised into the four learning types. There must be a connection between subject and student. In this way, learning as it stands in this country simply fails to engage our Māori and Pasifika learners. And how can it be expected for these Māori and Pasifika youth to perform academically when they're not engaged in their learning? It's like trying to start a car without an engine. It's interesting being an observer to this effect, because I've grown up with the contrary. In our Rotorua education bubble, we see culture incorporated into every fibre of our learning. And as a result, we see the performance of our students skyrocket, especially when compared to Māori and Pasifika students from other areas in the country. This fact alone proves to me that if the rest of the country were more inclusive of cultural aspects, we would see the education system, as well as university attendance, follow similar trends upwards. I believe that the non-optimal education system goes hand in hand with my other reason as to why Māori and Pasifika may be averse to attending university, being that their entrance and attendance to the university is widely stigmatised within our country. I believe that when the overwhelming success of Māori and Pasifika in performing arts, sporting and vocational pathways is compared with their more laboured academic performance, people tend to draw incorrect conclusions. People are led to the false conclusion that Māori and Pasifika are simply not suited for the academic world. However, I know the contrary is true. I've seen the contrary. I've grown up with it. The bonding of culture and learning that I've grown up with proves to me that not only do Māori and Pasifika have the capacity to function in an academic space, but to truly excel in it. A recent and very relevant example of this is that of Cohen Hemana, former Deputy Head Boy of Rotorua Boys High School and current Harvard student. He himself is a student of Māori descent who is competing at the literal pinnacle of the academic world, despite the majority of the country's perception being that this was impossible for anyone of Māori descent. Yet it's not just Cohen. Hundreds of young Māori and Pasifika are working and studying tirelessly, proving this presumption to be entirely false. I'm fully cognizant of the fact that these aren't the only reasons why Māori and Pasifika may be adverse to attending university, or why academic performances may seem to appear to be underwhelming. However, I'm not an economist, nor am I a politician, nor am I in any way qualified to draw conclusions about socioeconomic issues. What I am is a student of Tongan and Māori descent, who attends a school with the highest population of Māori students anywhere in the country, a school where Māori and Pasifika are able to thrive in any aspect they so choose. I'm someone who sees the potential and determination of these youths to not only perform in an academic sense, but to excel in it. Most of all, I'm someone who wants these youths to see this potential within themselves. As a great mentor of mine, Mr. Chris Granta said to me not too long ago, once the stars have aligned for Māori and Pasifika, there's truly nothing they cannot achieve. Thank you for listening.